In a world built for attention, the people who choose invisibility might actually understand something most people don't. And it's not insecurity. It's not being antisocial. What I'm about to explain might change how you see the quietest people in your feed. Here are 5 psychological reasons some people never post their photos online. 1. They've detached their identity from external approval. Psychology calls this internal validation. Most people post because their sense of self temporarily rises with every like. But people who don't post have learned something crucial. They've separated who they are from how they're perceived. Their self-worth doesn't fluctuate with notification counts. Not because they don't care what people think, but because they built an identity that doesn't need constant external confirmation to feel real. 2. They experience life differently when there's no audience. Here's something research confirms. When you know you're being watched, your behavior changes. Psychologists call this the audience effect. Even a phone in your pocket changes how present you are. People who don't post preserve something that constant sharers lose: the ability to experience a moment fully without mentally framing it for others. They're not hiding. They're protecting the purity of their own experience. 3. They understand that being seen and being known are different. This is a deeper layer. Posting makes you seen, but it doesn't always make you known. In fact, the more you curate, the more distance you can create between your real self and your online self. People who don't post have often realized that true connection doesn't come from broadcasting. It comes from being genuinely known by a small circle. They chose depth of connection over width of audience. 4. They guard their inner world like a sanctuary. Psychology uses the term boundary regulation to describe how people manage what's public and what's private. People who don't post have strong boundary regulation. They understand that not everything needs to be shared. Not every thought needs an audience. Not every moment needs documentation. They keep certain parts of themselves sacred because they know that the moment something is shared, it becomes something else. It becomes content instead of experience. 5. They've seen what the algorithm does to the mind. This is the quietest reason and maybe the most important. Many people who stop posting have observed what constant sharing does to their mental state. The comparison, the performance anxiety, the dopamine loop of checking who liked it. They didn't withdraw because they were afraid. They withdrew because they noticed the cost. Psychology calls this digital maturity, the ability to use technology without being used by it. And it's one of the rarest forms of self-awareness today. So next time you see someone who never posts, don't assume they're hiding. They might be one of the few people who figured out that a life lived quietly is not a life lived small. Some people don't need to be seen by everyone because they already feel seen by themselves. And in a world screaming for attention, that kind of quiet confidence is actually a superpower. If this made you think differently, subscribe for more psychology content that helps you understand yourself.